Dear students, let us begin with the third part of the lesson on external determinants of foreign policy, in which we will understand India's opposition to export of ideologies and change of regimes, interference, intervention and global issues. India took over presidency of G20 in 2023. Its agenda at G20 is One Earth, One Family and One Future. India navigates the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. India respects international organizations. India is not only navigating the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but it is also following in its action in its foreign policy. For instance, if you look at during tsunami, how India could able to extend its cooperation with other countries which are affected, when India is also equally affected. Another example, during Corona, India was able to extend its support to 80 to 100 countries when they are in need of medical support. Another example could be India is committed to mitigate GHG emissions, where India's contribution to GHG emissions is less than 3%. In other words, one could say India is not part of the problem, but it is a part of the solution. India opposes to export of ideologies and change of regimes. India believes in and supports democracy. However, it does not believe in the export of ideologies. India has therefore endeavored to deal with the kind of a government, be it a democracy, monarchy or military dictatorship. India believes that it should be left to the people of the country to choose or remove their leaders and retain or change the form of governance. As an extension of the above principle, India does not endorse the idea of regime change or violation of territorial integrity in a particular country by use of force or other means by another country or a group of countries. For instance, the United States intervention in Iraq, Libya, Syria or Russia's intervention in Georgia, Ukraine, etc. At the same time, India does not hesitate in promoting democracy wherever the potential exists. This is done by proactively providing assistance in capacity building and strengthening the institutions of democracy with the explicit consent of the concerned governments. For instance, India's involvement in Afghanistan. India does not endorse unilateral sanctions or military actions. India does not endorse the idea of imposing sanctions or military action against any individual country by another country or a group of countries unless these sanctions or military actions have been approved by the United Nations as a result of international consensus. India therefore contributes only to such peacekeeping military operations which are part of the UN peacekeeping forces. India has contributed in nearly 1,95,000 troops, the largest number from any country, participated in more than 49 missions, and 168 Indian peacekeepers have been sacrificed while serving in United Nations missions. India has also provided and continues to provide eminent force commanders for United Nations missions. Interference and intervention. India does not believe in interfering in the internal affairs of other countries. However, if an act innocent or deliberate by any country has the potential of impinging upon its national interest, India does not hesitate in making quick and timely intervention. Intervention is qualitatively different from interference, particularly when the intervention is made at the request of the country concerned. For instance, India's involvement in East Pakistan crisis in 1971, IPKF role in Sri Lanka during 1987 and 1990, Maldives in 1988. Constructive engagement over aggression. India advocates the policy of constructive engagement over aggression. It believes that violent retaliation and confrontation can only complicate the matters. War is no solution. After every war, the conflicting parties ultimately come to a negotiating table by the time much damage has already been done. This applies particularly to Pakistan, the origin of state-sponsored terrorism targeted at India. However, the policy of engagement is not allowed to be misunderstood as India's weakness. The surgical strike to target terrorist launch pads in Pakistan occupied Indian territory in September 2016 is one such example. Airstrike at terrorist camps in Balakot in February 2019 in retaliation to Pulwama terrorist attack is yet another example. Strategic autonomy, partnership yes, military alliance no. Independence of decision making and strategic autonomy are yet other significant features of India's foreign policy. India thus believes in partnership and refuses to military alliances. Global consensus on global issues. India advocates a global debate and global consensus on issues of global concerns such as world trade regime, climate change, terrorism, intellectual property rights and global governance. Let us summarize what we have discussed in this lesson so far. India's foreign policy is influenced by external determinants. India has benefited by the external determinants in making foreign policy and has executed its foreign policy effectively. I hope you understood the various external factors that determine a country's foreign policy. We have concluded our lesson on external determinants of foreign policy. Thank you.